come on in the room. Box. Lose it again. I know some of you guys are going to say that's a win. If you're in full tank mode, then these losses are wins for your Milwaukee Bucks. 107-79 is the final. Boston beats the Milwaukee Bucks this afternoon. What do they call it? The Pioneer game? The Pioneer game. Happy Black History Month. The Bucks started off Black History Month with a 30-point slacking to the Boston Celtics of all teams. Come on in the room. We are live after the Cream City Crossroads.
Chris King.
Justin.
There we go. I like Justin. Look at Justin in here on the show. He's en route right now. He is en route to to San Antonio. They're playing. Who's San Antonio got, Justin?
Orlando.
So he's en route. Look at this. This is a basketball connoisseur. Justin's en route to San Antonio and Orlando. So he's in the car and still showing up. He's not pulling. Hey, what's the Vikings GM name? What's the man name?
I didn't even want to try to say it.
What's the name?
I'm not a Vikings
Quessy
fan.
something. It's about two last names.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not enough of a
pulling.
Vikings fan to know that hear his name frequently enough to be able to say it right.
Justin ain't pulling a Quessy. He out here at work. He working. Quessy out here taking all the days off. We ain't doing that. The commitment to the culture here.
And Justin's getting away from that weather.
Focus and making draft picks. I don't know what Quessy got going on, man. Quessy just like everybody else at home. Like,
Justin found the way out to get away from that weather in North Carolina. That's what he's doing.
Sure.
There you go. Well, I'm not mad at that either. But let's jump into it. 107.79. Get at us in the chat. What up, chat? Ain't that what they say? The young people say on the streams. I don't know. Get at us on the YouTube, on the Twitter at TCIII YEEE. 107.79 is the final from Boston tonight. Bucks with somebody pointed out in the chat, a season low 79 points on the evening, and it just wasn't good enough. Let's do it. The game recap tonight. Basically, we can sum this up pretty easily. Everybody sucked outside of Ryan Rollins. Ryan Rollins played it was a very nice game. He looked good. He looked good. Scoring, he did all the things. He had some turnovers in the first quarter. He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter and didn't turn the ball over again after that. 25, 6, and 7 for Rollins, 1 steal, 3 of 4 from the 3-point line, 10 of 16 from the field. Thought he was excellent tonight, outstanding, if you will, this afternoon. He was the lone bright spot on the night for the Milwaukee Bucks. And don't quote me. Again, maybe there were some other guys that played decent, but I'm not gonna lie to you. As this game got out of hand in the third quarter, there were some things I had to wash the clothes. I had to put some clothes in the laundry, fold a couple things. I had to do something else with my time, so I might have missed a bench performance. I saw Thanasis in, so I don't know what he did in his couple minutes. Bobby Portis, 8 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 of 13 from the field. Had a lot of bunnies, I thought, that he just didn't connect, didn't go in. Miles Turner, Mo to the, 7 points, 4 rebounds. And somebody talking about allergic to rebounding. There were so many rebounds. Bucks lose the rebounding battle by 12 tonight. How many offensive rebounds did Boston have? They had 17 offensive rebounds. Bucks ended up having 12, but 17 offensive rebounds tonight. I don't know how many second chance points that went, but Miles Turner was a culprit in the paint. Brook Lopez was a better rebounder and a better, not just a rebounder, but just the fact he could box guys out and let other people get the rebound. Moesha's just down there, listen, I don't know what Miles Turner's doing, man. He's pathetic, man. And that 31-point performance the other day, and he had 20-something. I saw people, has Miles Turner been unlocked? Hell no, he ain't been unlocked. He ain't been unlocked. Again, you talk about guys on the block, Miles Turner needs to be on the block. Kuzma, 16, 5 and 2, 5 of 13 from the field, didn't shoot the ball well enough. He missed a lot of bunnies. He was a -1 tonight, not bad. But again, Kuzma has his spurts where he's okay. And then for the majority of the game, he's just out of control. The drives, some of the shots. He did go 2 of 4 from 3, but it wasn't good enough. AJ Green, listen, a lot of the AJ Green truthers will tell you it's Doc Rivers' fault. But AJ Green, listen, if you're gonna blame Doc Rivers, but again, it's not like anybody else does any better. So I mean, I guess I'm wasting my time. But AJ Green, again, whether it's Doc Rivers, whether it's Giannis and not having the gravity from him, yeah, like I said, they'll say they don't call enough plays for him. He was 1 of 5 from 3, 1 of 5 on the night. So he has a what's today's date? Oh, we February 1st. Okay, so he already had his concert. He was on January 5th. Pete Nance, 7 points, 4 rebounds tonight, 3 of 6 from the field. Gary Trent Jr., 9 points. Coffee got in. Cole Anthony got in, did some things. On Boston side of things, 30 and 13 for Jaylen Brown, 3 points for Sam Hauser. Queta was way better than Miles. How you say his name?
Nemus Keita.
Keita was better than Moesha tonight. 14, 8, and 4. Peyton Pritchard was 7 points. White 17, 7, and 8. And Anfernee Simons, man, he came in cooking to start the game. Had a lot of looked like Dame when he was doing step back threes and all the kind of things that he was doing. At the end of the day, though, this game got out of hand. Really, the first quarter was great. The Bucks were in it. They were playing some good basketball. And then just things got out of hand for the Bucks. and they could have had a much bigger lead. Again, it was tied at the end of the first quarter. They should have been up the way Boston shot the ball. But second chance points, turnovers, and then more second chance points throughout the game in the second quarter, going on through the rest of the game. Bucks just couldn't equate. Again, Boston took 10 more shots. Again, this game got out of hand, so you really couldn't quantify what was happening. As the Bucks just started to get their ass whooped. But again, it was not a good enough effort all over the place outside of Ryan Rollins. And again, that's turnovers, that's shooting, that's rebounding, that's defense. Like literally every single aspect of the game, the Bucks are just not good. It's not a good basketball team. We talked about it the other day. They're not going to win 30 games. We're going to talk about the big news. I think the Doc Rivers pregame said that Giannis would return to the lineup. He's not being shut down, so that's interesting. But to me, that's the biggest interesting thing. And again, we'll get into some of that. But as for the game, the Bucks were after the first quarter and midway through the second, the Bucks are just out of this thing, and there's no end in sight for how bad this team is going to be. So I'll leave you with this on the recap. If you are, and I teased it, but if you guys are looking for the Bucks to lose, if you guys are looking for the best draft pick available, if you guys are looking for the ability to, Giannis apparently didn't want a gap year, but this is going to be a gap year. If that's what you are, if that's what the season has turned into, you're going to get it, because there are not many good nights coming for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's all. JT, what'd you see?
Man, you know what? I today was inspired for the first 3 minutes of this game. Bucks were absolutely perfect for the first 3 minutes. I said, man, I looked in that first quarter, Ryan Rollins was cooking. I said, who's going to put this team on their back today? And brother, this thing broke down like crazy in that second quarter. And at the second and third quarter, really the second, third, and fourth quarter are some of the worst Bucks that's some of just the worst Bucks basketball that we've seen. I said this before the show. I mean, 5 in the last 5 years. We look inept. We look gassed. We look uninterested. This team doesn't look motivated. Maybe they know something that we don't know. But tonight, I mean, we didn't even compete. The thing is, it's one thing to not compete. It's one thing to not try to compete. It's another thing to not even hide it. And it just felt like tonight we were uninterested. We did not want to be. It's Black History Month for us. It's Black History Month for them, clearly, right? I felt like today you called them in on their day off. I mean, it was absolutely embarrassing. This is one of those losses where you look at it and you really have to question how many of these guys even want to be there at this point. You do. You really have to ask that question. How many of these guys want to do that? I know we're getting sold a bill of goods about Doc, which, by the way, I don't believe a thing Doc says. I believe it when I see it. I hope it's true, but I believe it. I believe it when I see it, because I mean, Doc is always going to quote unquote win the press conference. But I think at this point, I just don't know why Doc says what he says. Anything, I'm not really sure. But at the end of the day, This was pitiful. This was lackluster. This is another embarrassing loss. I am really hoping that John Horst makes some moves this week. You've got to do something because this is abysmal. I thought this team would want to fight and try to claw its way into a potentially a play-in. Absolutely not at this point. I think they are. I think this team is cooked. Very, very disappointed to watch the way this team came out. And again, I thought Ryan Rollins was fool's gold tonight. I thought Ryan Rollins would come out and ball. He was good. And, we collapsed here. I mean, they were up 12-0. I think I allowed myself to have hope for 3 minutes, and then that hope was quickly gone. And I just want to say, when you look at, have you guys looked at I got Trey, you went over the box score. I mean, man, 29 for 82 from the field. It's just awful. 35 from the field, 29% from the three-point line. The bulk of our points we scored in the first quarter. It's just embarrassing. And fellas, I'm hoping we snap back out of this thing against Chicago, but I think right now we're just in the pain cave and we can't get out of it and probably won't in the short term.
And it could be just like a lost cause, right, with this basketball team. I'm watching these games, and realistically, we do not have the talent to compete. Like, that is the truth. You can start with a 12-0 run, and you still go down by 14 at half. Like, you watch these games, and you look at what these other teams have. And the Celtics, I think, they're certainly overperforming without Jason Tatum, but they just look like a more connected team. They look like a team that's going to be unselfish and knock down open shots. And where I think that this Bucks team fails is they're not connected and they don't make open shots. And so that just makes it really tough on us. I thought just, again, it would, to really analyze these games, it would be just kind of beating the dead horse, because we all know what the issues are. The main issues are rebounding, selfish offensive play, no plan, no game plan. And so I think I would be kind of remiss to mention that right now. But to me, it's in the margins everywhere. We have no backup point guard. Ryan Rollins comes in and goes crazy, and we get Cole Anthony out there, and those minutes are just god-awful. You look at what we're still not getting from Gary Trent Jr. and A.J. Green, and that's a big issue. The rebounding is an issue. Like, there's just so much to dissect with this team. I can't even take them serious. I can't even turn on the TV and watch these games and expect them to do more than they provide. Like, it's just not going to happen with this basketball team. They're not good. The bench options are limited. I looked and saw Andre Jackson Jr. for those truthers out there, and he's terrible. Some of these guys, I don't know how they're still employed. I saw a couple positives from Pete Nance, but that's just been it. I got nothing else to really say about this. It's just, we just got – the talent is just way better on everybody's other side. Justin.
Hey, man, this look good or that look. I don't have anything to say. I guess the only pushback I'll give is that Boston team, when you look at it on paper, they're not super talented either. But like you said, Chris, they're bought in and they're connected. And they also agree with the culture that's there that Missoula has. And I agree, keeping the starters in to get a 40-point win versus a 20-point win is just crazy. It's tough to watch, man, and it's quite disappointing, man. You look around the rest of the league, a lot of these role players play above their roles, and you look at guys, is Peyton Pritchard a better point guard than Ryan Rollins? Pure athleticism, all that? No. But somehow Pritchard shows up and he plays basketball. And old buddy, whatever his name is, the 5 for the Celtics, Akeda, whatever the hell his name is, you're outperforming a dude that just signed a $100 million contract. Like, Miles Turner should be embarrassed tonight. Bobby Portis should be embarrassed. Doc Rivers should be embarrassed. Peter Fagan, you're retired. You're not embarrassed. Wesley Edens, Jimmy Haslam, everybody associated with the Milwaukee Bucks that put that piss-poor performance out there should be embarrassed. The only thing we can't really bitch about is we didn't pay for it because it was on ESPN as part of your Spectrum or whatever you have for cable service. It's bad to watch, man, and these dudes got to find a way to hoop. And if you can't hoop, sit your ass at home and we'll get somebody in here who wants to play.
Yeah, no, that's, that I don't disagree with any of that. Talk about Joe Mazzulla, talk about the culture of Boston. Interestingly enough, they did hear that Jason Tatum's not going to come back. So they're still going to be limited in what they can be. And I don't think, again, as good as they played, they're not I really don't think they're contending for an Eastern Conference title without Jason Tatum. So yeah, they'll be a thorn in anybody's side in the playoffs. But as you look at it, if you're in the East, you're looking at probably, again, I'm assuming it. At this point, I'm assuming it's going to be Detroit or New York that's going to represent the Eastern Conference in the finals. And again, they're probably losing to whoever. I'm assuming they're going to lose to whoever comes out of the West out of that gauntlet. So that'll be interesting to see how this progresses. But yeah, I mean, again, the product is bad. The product is bad. It's terrible. I just don't have much else to say other than that. And again, but you look at, I saw somebody in the chat said that, this every problem the Bucks have stems from rebounding. And yeah, it does. But here's the thing, quick drama grosses, says, that's wild. Y'all just now realizing what I've been saying since the start of the season. The Bucks don't have the talent to compete. I get that. I get some of that. I got a feeling that another coach I got a feeling another coach is in 3-14 without Giannis. I just have a feeling that, and I agree the talent is not the best without Giannis. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with it. But I just have a sneaky feeling that, again, how much talent did that Denver team have when they were missing basically everybody and came in and beat us? How much talent did they have? How much talent do the Washington Wizards have? And they have a bunch of young guys, but how much talent do they have? And they've beaten us 3 times. How much talent does that Brooklyn team have? And they beat us by 45 points. So I get it. I'm not going to disagree and say they're world beaters or anything like that. But no, I agree, Mark Gomes. 3-14 without Giannis, it's ridiculous. No, I push back on. I don't think they're that talentless. I have to think it has something to do with the coaching. And everything surrounding. I think Doc Rivers, again, is living in the Stone Ages. The offense is archaic. I think there's got to be a way that you could, again, and I talk shit about Miles Turner. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. There's no way he's that bad. Like, I would bet anything I own that Miles Turner, whenever he's traded or leaves the Bucks, he's going to play much better than this. I talk trash, and it is funny to me watching him play. And he doesn't give the effort, and it looks like a talent issue. And it looks like, man, if you just playing better, it's like some of this doesn't look like a Doc issue. But I gotta believe that, because I've seen him play. I've seen him play a lot, and I can't believe that it was all Halliburton that made that. I reject that idea that Halliburton made. I'm not saying Halliburton didn't help with Miles Turner and put him in good positions. I'm not saying that he didn't do that. But I just have I can't believe that only Halliburton can unlock Miles Turner, and outside of that, he's helpless. I just don't agree with that. I think, and I can't wait to see I can't wait to see Miles Turner in another uniform, and I got a feeling he's going to play much better.
So my thing is, when we looked at this team this first year, I think nobody said this team was great as constructed. What we said is, I think we can make this thing work. I think we can make this thing work with KPJ. I didn't expect Ryan Rollins to come on strong. I thought Gary Trent was going to pick up where he left off. I thought we was going to get more from Derrick Bird. I thought Miles Turner was going to find a way to make this thing work. Kyle Kuzma was going to build off this. We looked at this squad. Nobody said there was going to be contenders in the East. But what we thought is, hey, maybe we'll compete. Maybe we'll get in the play. I think our expectations were low. The problem is, this team, we didn't think they'd be this bad. We didn't think that this Bucks team would look inept at times. Inexplicably, we can't explain why this Bucks team can't hit a shot 3 straight quarters at all. Why does Bucks team keep coming out? Looks like it has no energy. When you talk about rebounding, that's effort, right? Rebounding is effort and hustle. And how many games has this team consistently put together where you've seen that out there? Yes, you can't blame Doc all for that. But you can blame Doc all for that because he's like, look, I'm going to sit you in. All right, John Horst putting heat on you. Okay, fine. If you're not going to do what you got, I'm going to get you out of here and we'll get somebody else in here who wants to be here. And that, to me, is just what bothers me so much, that there are way too many games where this team looks uninterested in the first place. And they're lollygagging around. I mean, listen, man, we out there twerking and ain't nothing moving. That don't make no sense. What is this, right? Like, I mean, it's that type of nonsense. It's that type of frustration, right? You can't even pop nothing at that point.
They got that little mama body.
That's what I'm saying, right? You out there doing, and right? It's like, and they got no potential. Ain't got no potential. Even if you could twerk, wouldn't let them move anyway. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is what this thing looks like, and it's just embarrassing at this point. I think Bucks fans are just a lot more. Quite honestly, how long before people start asking for refunds? How long before people start asking for refunds? Like, I ain't coming to the 574 and spend all this money to watch this mess. I got Chick-fil-A close to the crib. I don't need to be here. That's the only thing here I can enjoy. Chick-fil-A, right? Or the little chicken, the other little chicken spot next to it. What am I going to do with it? Like, no, this is embarrassing. I would have never thought, and again, this is turning into the season of hell. I get it. But I didn't see this coming. And I don't think any of us could predict that this team would have been this bad and this ass.
Well, I guess also, like, I feel like we didn't factor in the injuries as much as we probably should have earlier in the year. Now, we talked about what this team would look like without Giannis a little bit in depth. But, you know, without a KPJ, and I'm not saying he would be the savior of all problems, but realistically, like, when you look at this offense without KPJ and without Giannis, like, there is not too many go-to guys on this basketball team. And that's why I think you're just at a tough point with the talent level, because – when you have Ryan Rollins going for 25, he could be at his best. He could go for 25 plus, and you still feel like, okay, if Ryan Rollins is off the floor, there is not really a go-to guy. There's not a guy. There's just not a guy on the basketball team that can take over, that can microwave score, and that's a problem. Like, they need that. They need that person that can keep them afloat. Since their defense is so bad, like, at least have somebody that can provide offense, and they just don't have that. They have the idea of those guys. They have the idea of a Bobby Portis who can do that. They have the idea that a Miles Turner can do that. They have an idea that Gary Trent, that AJ Green can do that, but they just don't, and they haven't. And that's where I think you're at a loss, is there's just no real threat outside of Ryan Rollins when Giannis and KPJ are gone.
I think when you look at this, and I know there's been a lot of blame passed on the Doc, and I agree with you a lot, Trey, that I don't think this is solely on Doc. However, the message isn't getting through. Miles Turner, before he had Tyrese Halliburton, was a 6.6 rebounds. I would love to see 6.6 rebounds a game for Miles Turner right now. I mean, and like JT said, the guys look disinterested, and that's the problem, because you're asking Bucks fans, you're constantly putting ads from Bucks Pro Shop. You're constantly having people, especially here at the Pfizer Forum. You want people on the road to tune in to NBA League Pass and stuff like that, and you're not putting a product that's out there that is worth it. At least when you look at Washington, they're like, hey, we know we're in the midst of a rebuild. This isn't supposed to be a rebuild. And I know you got guys on the thing that told us, Quick Draw McGraw told us the talent was bad. Yeah, but you weren't saying that when we were 7-4 or 8-5 and all that other stuff. You just came in here recently and said that. You kind of like a front runner like the Indianapolis Pacers, right? I ain't calling them Indianapolis. It's easy to say the team sucks when they suck. But were you saying that when the team was trending elsewhere? I never valued Taurean Prince that much until now. Because Jay Crowder, his words, Avalanche. It seems like the Avalanche started when Taurean Prince went down for some reason. And we haven't figured out to recover from a backup role player that somehow had this team playing much better basketball. But it sucks right now to be a Bucks fan.
Yeah, and I think it's more than Taurean Prince too, but yeah, that was a big loss. Mark Gomes said stop it with KPJ. He doesn't make much of a difference. Listen, I get what you're saying, but again, 3 of 14 without Giannis, you can't tell me that again, for a team that I just said no talent. Again, we can't. Chris just said it. They can't move the ball. They can't create their own. But that's at least a guy that can do some of that. So I think he would help. Again, would he make much? I don't know, but he couldn't hurt. He couldn't hurt based upon what I've seen out there. And two, what I will say is, you know who would disagree with you? Mike Malone. But everybody else on in the chat and the Twitter, go get Mike Malone. Go get Mike Malone. Mike Malone at halftime said they're missing KPJ. He said that. Argue with him, not me. So those were his some of his words. Man, it has been tough. It has been tough. I do want to ask you guys, let's flip gears a little bit. It's Sunday. Today is February the 1st. We are quickly approaching. The trade deadline is February the 5th. I said this to you before we started, and I definitely want to get your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts in the chat as well. Chat's moving, so I thought there's more people in here than I thought. More people in here than I thought that would be on a Sunday matinee game where the Bucks get their ass whooped by 30. So appreciate you guys. And you know what? Hit the like button if you in the chat, just to give yourself a congratulations for being here after this loss. No strays. Hey, listen, you get to talk today. He said the Dunkin' Donuts smacking. He took the retract. Okay, I don't know what happened, but I see you. No strays in here. Big Boston guy. He's been here for like a year. He pops in like every other game. He's been here for like a year, so I appreciate it. But I want to switch gears. Doc Rivers pregame, and I had it pulled up, and I just lost it. Where Doc Rivers said, of course I lost it. But he said something effective that Giannis was going to be. He said that they were asking him on ESPN what I guess I only saw the clip. I didn't even see the actual interview, but they were asking him, I guess, about Giannis, and he said that Giannis is saying all the right things, that he wants to be a Milwaukee Buck, and that he's here. He also said that Giannis was going to. He also said that Giannis was going to continue playing. They weren't shutting him down. Which again gives you this potential thought that Giannis could survive the trade deadline, or the Bucks. I should say the Bucks could survive the trade deadline, and Giannis is still in Milwaukee, which would, that would definitely be interesting. Yes, so I got the quote now. He says he wants to be a Buck and he loves the city, is what Doc Rivers said about Giannis. Now, again, we know how Giannis is. Maybe he said it and his agent said something different because they speak differently, allegedly. But I guess what I'm asking is, it's Sunday, the deadline is Thursday. As this thing drags on, I told you guys this before we got on. To me, the Bucks, this can't be a trade. If you're trading Giannis, this can't be. I don't know if the trade is like 3:00 or whatever. This can't be a trade that hits at 2:59. I don't think it's one of those that you're working. And I know that you work right up to the deadline. And I say that because I would assume that either team, the team that trades for Giannis or the Milwaukee Bucks, are going to need corresponding moves after it. To like, if you're let's say you're trading 3 guys to go get Giannis plus picks or whatever, you're probably going to need. I'm just making up. Let's say it's the Knicks and they trade OG and Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns and whatever to go get. Yeah, you may need something else to correspond with those moves because your team now has a hole in it. If you're the Bucks and you're bringing those guys in, or let's say it just feels like you. It also feels like if you're the Bucks, you need to know whether Giannis is going to be on the roster moving forward for whatever. Let's say you're trading around the margins. I need to know, am I trading for a team that may have Giannis on it next year, or am I making a trade with the mindset that Giannis is not going to be here next year? Again, we also know that this could happen in the summer. My question here is, Marco says he listened to the clip. It was word salad. Okay, maybe, but he said it. But my question here is, as this thing continues to move forward, it's Sunday. As the week continues to get more or less likely that Giannis is still on the roster, come trade deadline, you can answer this however you want. Are the Bucks losing leverage? Do you see? I've seen this thought that Giannis gains all the leverage the longer this goes on, or if this goes into the summer. Where are your thoughts here?
So I think Giannis is going to be on this roster after the trade deadline. We talked about this before. If you really want to trade him, you probably are in the best position to do so in the offseason. Teams can make offers, and if you want the Kings ransom, I think you may have more offers then than you would now. We said that, and it makes perfect sense. And then also we saw reports where teams have been saying the Bucks don't really appear to be interested in trading Giannis. I think they're trying to gauge a market for him. And that's what we said a week before that report came out. It's like, hey, the only difference is that the Bucks now are trying to gauge a market, figure out. They probably are saying, oh, we're open to try to figure out, okay, what is a realistic asking price? What's a starting point? Perfect, they're fine to do that with everything here. I don't have a problem. But I still think Giannis is going to be on this roster. What I do think, though, is in the next couple of days, this is the Bucks front office chance to this audition of what are we going to do to present to Giannis in the offseason and see if he's going to stay and sign the extension. What moves can we make now to fortify this team maybe for next year? What moves can we make now? When we make our final pitch to Giannis, do we say, here's what we got coming back, here's what we got coming in, right? We have a chance to maybe move a couple of guys now to strengthen the team for next year and the years moving forward if Giannis is going to stay, or at least to put ourselves in position to make a compelling argument for Giannis staying. So I don't expect Giannis to move this week at all. I do think that one of either Bobby Coos, KPJ, Ryan, I think one of those guys get moved, certainly, but I expect 34 to be in a Bucks uniform after this week.
I agree with that. I think It would just be, I mean, you look at some of the halftime shows and some of the NBA talk, NBA countdown, stuff like that, and you see that even the Bucks have come out publicly and said, like, they're not in a rush to get a deal done, and as they shouldn't be. You know, that's something that they're telling to rival teams that are trying to put together a package. And quite frankly, when we talk about all the packages that could be available for Giannis, we don't necessarily believe that those are enough to get Giannis out of Milwaukee right now. And that could certainly change in the summer, but I don't believe that what they're offering right now would be beneficial to the Bucks. And I also think there is a factor for the Bucks that they're thinking about that's like, okay, we were dealt with this news probably 8 days before the deadline. Like, it's hard to put together a package within that's really appealing. And I may be wrong. They could find something that they feel like is best for them. But right now I just don't feel like all the stuff that we're hearing on social media, on TV, stuff like that is enough to get Giannis out of there right now, especially him being hurt and him teams not knowing when he'll come back. So I think he'll be held on past this deadline, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I do think at the deadline there will be a lot of moves in the margins, which should happen, and that's what I'm hoping happens.
You know me, man. Giannis said that he wanted to retire Milwaukee Buck. And until he comes out and says something differently, that's what I'm going to stand pat to. I don't think he's moved at the trade deadline. I don't think he's moved after it. If you ask a lot of these fans out here in San Antonio where I'm at, you know, these fat women, shout out to Charles Barkley. I probably should have said that out
What they
loud
eating out
outside.
there? What they eating out there, Justin?
Yeah, I'm about to jump off this joint and get me one of these
They
eating all types of stuff, and I'm about to go get it, man.
They eating them churros.
Hey, look, it's 45 degrees out here. I'm freezing my ass off, but you know, all I care about is Bucks. But these people in San Antonio, when you talk to a lot of the fans and stuff like that, they don't want to gut their roster to give it to them. Give it to the Bucks for Giannis. There's a lot of teams that feel that way. I think the thing with the San Antonio Spurs, they have a good roster, and I'm gonna need half that roster if we're gonna trade Giannis. But I just think that with Giannis's calf injury and stuff like that, there's gonna be a lot of apprehension and stuff like that. If you do see Giannis leave Milwaukee, I think he will walk for nothing. Would be the only way we would lose him. I don't think that John Horst has the cojones to trade him, and we understand that they mentioned it this week that it's a ownership decision along with Mr. Horst, but I just don't think that he does. I don't think that Wesley Edens does. I think Jimmy Haslam would move him, though, but I don't think Giannis ever goes anywhere, man. I think he's a Buck for life, and we figure out a way to get this draft pick that it looks like, unfortunately, we're going to be kind of forced into this tank to receive, and we rebuild there, and we go out and we compete next year, the year after.
Yeah, that report, I believe it came from Gary Woelfel, saying that Giannis, that John Horst and the ownership group would be the ones who make the decision. Duh. Like, do you think you can? We all have jobs, okay? There's certain things that I can do within my role that I don't have to tell my boss about. There's a bevy of things I can do, and I don't have to tell my boss anything. There are some moves that not only does my boss need to know, but my boss needs to tell her boss that this has to happen or this is happening. And there are some things that happen within our organization that go all the way up to the CEO because he has to sign off on certain things. That's how that. So yes, and when I talk about those certain things, yeah, if John Horst wants to trade Kyle Kuzma, I think he has full control to trade Kyle Kuzma. If he wants to trade, he wants to pick up when he got rid of Mark Sears, or you getting rid of a we're gonna cut Chris Livingston. You ain't got to tell nobody that. You ain't got to. That's well within your purview. But to trade the franchise superstar, the guy who brought a championship to Milwaukee, the guy who will have a statue outside of Fighter Forum, the guy who will have his jersey hanging from the rafters forever in Milwaukee Bucks history. The ownership's got to be involved in that. I couldn't believe the amount of traction Gary Woelfel got for saying that. That was amazing. Like, he was that took some type of forethought. Oh man, I got this insider knowledge to tell you that to trade Giannis, the ownership has to be on board. Nico Harrison moved Luka Doncic. And even though they said, "Oh, it's Nico's move," they told you the ownership. He had to go to ownership with it. You can't trade. Oh, well, imagine the owner. That'd be like the owner. Where is Cleese? Like the ownership wake up. What happened to Luka? We traded Luka. Come on, man. That was the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. I couldn't believe people went with that. But anyway, yes, the ownership will have to be in agreement with whatever the decision is, and whether that's a Giannis-led decision or whether that is the Bucks. Like I said, they came to the realization. I don't know, but yeah, you're right, Chris. When you talk about the packages I've seen have not been good enough, I look at what, to me, they say Portland might be interested. Well, if it's Portland, there's a lot of things that I need, but I didn't realize that. Again, this is why it makes sense maybe going on to the summer, because and Todd's talking about some of the guys, the All-Stars here, but in Portland, I believe that Shaedon Sharpe is actually not available to be traded until the summer, and Toumani Camara is not available to be traded until the summer. So those are two guys that, I mean, that's a non-starter. I'm not doing that without at least one of those guys, and probably I want both of them. So to me, again, as good as it is for Portland, they'd have to wait till the summer. Golden State, it's so funny. I believe it's so funny, the Golden State package where they're like, first they were saying Jimmy Butler, and then all of a sudden they were saying, well, yeah, we're committed to Jimmy Butler and his rehab. Yeah, because you probably called the Bucks and asked the Bucks, if we're to believe people are talking here, you think the Bucks will want anything to do with Jimmy Butler? Like, why would I want? So yeah, now you got to come out publicly. We stand by and support Jimmy. Of course you do. When you know you can't move Jimmy Butler, there's no way you can move Jimmy Butler. So I'm getting there. Again, the longer this drags out, if we get past Monday, I'll say this, to me, my drop dead date is Tuesday. And I saw somebody in the chat say that they thought that the deal's already done, and I disagree with that. I don't believe so, because I think if it was done, again, you see all these. There haven't been many trades they made. I know Atlanta just moved. Again, Cleveland did the Keon Ellis deal, which was good. They got Keon Ellis. That's a good move for Cleveland for DeAndre Hunter. And then they got Schroeder as well. But and then there was a move Atlanta made to get did Atlanta give up somebody to Portland? They gave up I get the foreign guy to Portland, which I thought was a good move for yeah, say it again.
Vic Krejci,
yeah, which again I think was good. King says you're not getting Jimmy. We don't want Jimmy. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't want Jimmy. You're not getting Jimmy. I don't want Jimmy. Fuck. What are you talking about? You're like that. Is that a threat? You're not getting Jimmy. Okay. But that's crazy. But yeah, the reason I don't believe this thing is already done is because the trade deadline's been quiet. Nobody's making any. It seems like a lot of teams, because you don't want to give up capital or whatever to be able to go get Giannis or not to be able to get Giannis. So everybody's waiting. So again, that's why I just think there's got to be a drop dead point. Is that Tuesday where, let's say you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's say you're the Golden State. Let's say you're Miami. At some point, you've got to start making moves to improve your team. If you want to improve them, you can't wait all day for Giannis until when. I just don't think you can do that. And if everybody's doing that, I think you're in a world of trouble, especially if he doesn't get moved, and you can't explain why. Oh, we didn't make any moves to the trade deadline because we were waiting on Giannis. So now you missed out on a potential playoff run trying to get anybody, trying to upgrade your team because you thought you had an opportunity to go get Giannis, and it turns out he's really not available to the summer anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think, like, whatever the Bucks get back, it's going to be a little bigger than what these trade packages are showing on social media. Like, I think the Bucks are not going to sell themselves short. And rightfully so, they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to feel like they need to accompany Giannis in finding a good trade destination. No, this is the start of a monumental rebuild, getting rid of somebody who was the best player in franchise history. Like, you're going to have to get more than what these people are what these trade packages are putting out right now on social media within these people who have sources, minds. Like, again, Trey, you say, like, all of these packages, like, if you don't have guys that can't be available until the summer, then that's what the Bucks will do. They'll wait till the summer to get those guys that are monumental pieces to start a rebuild instead of settling for players just because they want to keep Giannis happy. That's not how it's going to work.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here, but I do have a question I want to ask y'all before I go, man.
Yeah.
If I had to do a game ball, I'd probably give it to Simons. I'll make sure we talk about Jay Crowder's beef with Doc Rivers and all that stuff that went down last week, and just what do y'all think about it? Because I know we missed it the last show. For me, it's kind of eye open. Or did we talk about it? I can't remember. But the Marquette on Marquette crowd. But I think that Jay is also he's kind of doubled down on it. He did an interview with Jimmy O from the Journal Sentinel as well, and it went a little bit further. He talked about just how Doc basically said that he lost him when he said that he could not wish to sign his worst enemy to come in here and coach his. Yo, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off, and yeah, man. Hopefully, I'll be back Tuesday or Wednesday, man. But appreciate y'all dudes, man. 30-point wins or 30-point losses. We here regardless.
All right, good deal. Appreciate you, Justin. Good stuff. Checking in live from San Antonio. Enjoy the game tonight. Did we talk about the Jay Crowder thing? I don't remember.
I think briefly you and I did, barely.
Okay.
We didn't. I don't know if we got into Doc's response and stuff and how he said it was about playing time, but I mean.
But yeah, just to reiterate, I agree with that. I agree with Doc. I think I agree. I think I agree with both sides, really. I think Jay Crowder has a point where, yeah, Doc Rivers came in, he probably didn't verbalize things correctly, and then things didn't get much better. So I can see where that went wrong. But I also probably agree with Doc Rivers that I think Jay Crowder's probably biggest beef is that he didn't play. And again, Doc Rivers has rubbed guys the wrong way. Not the first guy he's rubbed the wrong way. I don't know that he necessarily lost everybody when he first came in. But again, that's Jay Crowder's words, so I'm not going to invalidate him. But yeah, I think I think Crowder's big personality. He was upset in Phoenix. Remember he had just left Phoenix and was upset that he wasn't playing. So yeah, I can see he definitely was the guy to hold a grudge when coaches aren't putting him in the rotation.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of sour grapes there, but I also think, I mean, he does have a valid point because the team immediately went to shit when Doc Rivers became the head coach, and that's not to say that they obviously Adrian Griffin put them in a great position to make the playoffs and everything, and then the injuries come around in the playoffs, and then you kind of get left with what you were dealt with just an early exit, but that happened again. And then this year has fallen off the rails too. So I think both sides have a little bit of credence to it. But, yeah, I could see certainly how it would be, okay, Doc's not playing me when he comes in. And realistically, I don't even believe – correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he was getting super heavy minutes when AG was the coach anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I think he did have a place in the rotation, though. But I'm trying to recall.
He had other guys at that spot, I felt like.
Yeah, I'm trying. Or maybe did he come off an injury? But no, he was there when Bud was there though. So like he was there originally when the year Bud, right? Yeah, he originally came with Bud, and the last year Bud, I believe, and then after that is when things fell off the rail. If I'm correct there, I'm not sure. Bell Jader says the Bucks are already frozen out from dealing. I don't know if that's true. We'll see. We'll see how that works. I think they'll be able to do something. And again, I'm sure, because here's the thing. I think when you say they're frozen out from dealing, I think they're frozen out from dealing with those traces. Like Dave Chappelle said, who gives a F what Jay Crowder thinks at a time like this? I think they may be. I think the teams that really want Giannis may freeze them out and may not try to help them keep Giannis. But I got a feeling there's probably teams out there, remember, like a Portland, who didn't have a chance, they don't really have an opportunity to get Giannis. They don't want to see you. If you're a team that can't get Giannis, why would you want to see a team, in your conference get Giannis, right? I'm just trying to think of anybody else. Why would I want to? I get the Bucks, but like if I'm another team, why would I want to see Miami get Giannis? Why would I might be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll play ball. I hope you guys, y'all trying to get rid of Kuz to do something to get to. I don't want you, and because if I'm another GM, and I think, you know what, the Bucks will never win a championship with Giannis. It's 2-0. It's not gonna happen. Let's keep him right there, and we can almost neuter him like that by leaving him in Milwaukee instead of letting him go to instead of letting him go to New York. Like if Giannis is on the Knicks right now, and let's say you only had to give up Karl-Anthony Towns and what, I'm just making this up. That's an easy championship contender right there for a couple years to come. Whatever. Like if you're in the East, that would terrify me. Oh my God, Giannis is in New York. Giannis is in Atlanta. And no, I want him right where he's at in Milwaukee, not bothering nobody. Getting first round exits and not making the playoffs. That would so I believe I would think there's got to be some teams out there that say, yeah, you know what, let's find a way to keep him there. And maybe they think they can increase their team marginally, but it ain't gonna do nothing for us, for them. Daryl Clayton, super chat, says OKC and Spurs will help the Bucks keep him. They don't want GSW with him. Again, that's another. Again, if you're a Western Conference team, I agree with that. Like, why would I? Yeah, how can I? I don't want him coming over here. We got enough. We got enough superstars in the West. Why would I want Giannis over here? Is how I would be thinking.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that makes a ton of sense. But I also think, yeah, there is that other side of it where it's like, okay, for example, I've been on, I don't know if the Dame Bros made my algorithm more Portland heavy, but now I see a little bit of tweets from them. And even sometimes, the opposite side of this would be, hey, my team has never made a big swing like this, so they need to go all out for a swing like that, like Portland. So that's why I would welcome those kind of teams,
yep,
because they would be willing to give more than maybe the team that's already contending. So that's why I think, you wait till the summer, you see who those teams are, you see if you can pick some of those teams out, and maybe there are some of those contenders that are willing to give more because it's not working and they actually didn't make a run, and maybe you see that you can get a better package.
No straight, to tell you the truth, from the outside, other teams know Giannis is leaving, so they are going to hold out on their best assets. Again, Giannis ain't getting here's the issue. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. He's not getting any younger. He's not getting any younger. As we talked about before, you don't get healthier the older you get. So because that's the truth, when you say they're holding out assets, and again, I bet they're holding out assets, not because they want him to leave, but I think they may genuinely be concerned about his health, and going all in for a guy who then can't finish the season with you. But I just wonder, I guess I wonder if you let this play out to the summer, and again, like you say, Chris, one of those teams that pops up, and again, I've talked about this before. I want to see some teams lose. I want to see San Antonio get whooped in the playoffs. Does that now change your thought process? New York get whooped in the playoffs. Does that not change your thought process? Oh, wow, we should have really went all in. I don't know. But we'll see again. But it's Sunday, and I do think the longer this drags on, the more likely it is that Giannis remains in Milwaukee. And to me, that would I'd love that if the Bucks could do that. Jeff R_R says, I'm a regular on another podcast, and I've been saying this team quit on Doc. They don't listen to him or Giannis at all. Doc lost the locker room a while ago since the West Coast trip. I don't know if they quit on Doc. I mean, maybe. I don't know if they quit on Doc. They're not good. I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't have him in the right position. I can't call that. I just can't, like, they don't listen. Maybe they're just not good. I don't know, man. I really don't know.
If that was like the consensus when AG was here and they were 30-13, then I would have a hard time dismissing it right away. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it stems from, the coaching is bad, and then the players are bad as well, and then they certainly haven't been helped by injuries either.
No, they haven't. Quick draw says at Trey, how any team willing to trade us will try to screw us. We're not gonna. It says can't let them. Example: Pelicans want 3 first-round picks for Trey Murphy. How the hell are the Bucks going to make a trade like that? I agree. No, I agree on that piece. Yeah, but the difference, Trey Murphy's a young player. Yeah, and again, it's also different what people are asking for versus what they will actually get. So I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what these teams are talking about. And I can't wait until, because we talk about all these trades, it's been quiet. So I want to see these real trades materialize and what the market looks like. And again, right now, I think everybody's afraid, or at least they don't want to show their hands on what they're doing. And again, the Bucks surprise us at every turn. So I would not be surprised at all. I would not be surprised at all if the Bucks, instead of working around the margins, that they try to make some type of big swing. I wouldn't be surprised, and boom, we can come out next year. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. But we'll see how that goes. All right, Chris King. Again, the Bucks do play again. I told you we're gonna try and keep it short. So let's start to wrap this thing up. The Bucks do play again Tuesday and Wednesday, which is really good for us because we're gonna be talking about trades and things of that nature anyway. If anything breaks, of course, we'll do emergency. We'll get into we'll do some emergency stuff and jump right on it. There's no question about that. But yeah, let's go to Twitter and let's see what Twitter's talking about. And before we get up out of here, at Drew Barringer says genuinely will be shocked if they win another game. MKE Bucks 11 says 8-1 in their last 9 is how I see it, raising that ping pong ball trophy in the offseason. At R_Christian 4 says 34 needs to have a few setbacks and really drag us out the rest of the season. Tank hard, get a top pick. Don't even care that Doc is still here. He is helping the tank. At Sunk345 says Missoula ran circles around Doc this afternoon. That's a young coach who understands the trends of modern basketball, like offensive rebounding and the math game. Our next coach cannot be older than 50. If our head coach is older than that, Giannis is out of here. Sayonara. Couple more here. At Mike from Whiskey says, I think I despise Doc more than Craig Counsell. At C Keller 141 says, I can't do 30 more games of Doc. These guys have quit on him. And let's do the last one here. At Liam Mazumbi says, is there even a point to watching the rest of the season until Doc is gone? I'm out. So again, a lot of people just upset and done with this whole process and team. Bucks losing 107-79. You got doing a game ball, Chris King?
Nope. No
game ball for you. I'm still gonna give a game ball out. Justin gave his to Anfernee Simons. I'm gonna go Jaylen Brown. 30, 13, 2 assists, 1 steal. Smooth game for him. 12 of 20 from the field. He was a plus 16. So we'll do a Jaylen Brown game ball, a.k.a. JB, a.k.a. Did you see the game of the day? A.k.a. my hair didn't come off on anybody, a.k.a. Lil Beijing, a.k.a. Did you see that fight last night where Buddy Toupee came off? Yeah. That's crazy too. AKA, there we go. Let's look around the NBA here. Oh, well, nothing is really. Yeah, because Bucks played early, 107-79. Right now in the second quarter, Pistons are up over the Nets. The Heat beat the Bulls. The Jazz beat the Raptors. Or excuse me, I keep saying beat. Sorry, these games are ongoing. The Heat are up over the Bulls by 20. The Jazz are up in the second quarter over the Raptors, and the Wizards are up 7 right now with 2 minutes to play in the second quarter over the Sacramento Kings. Iron Man Clan TV gives Ryan Rollins the game ball. James Moore. Did LeBron? Did he make the All-Star game as reserve? Did he do? Did they put him in there?
Probably.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they probably will. You gotta do all kind of stuff for LeBron, so I wouldn't be surprised. I asked last year. It's only a thing for look around. I was gonna ask you. I do want to add real quick that the Vikings GM who got fired and he took 2 weeks off for the leave for the birth of his son. And again, that's not the reason he was fired, but apparently it sounded like a lot of people around the league were just, I don't know if they were upset, but they were saying like they were shocked that he took 2 weeks off and work. He did work, but he worked remotely as he, for paternity leave, taking care of his kid. Do you think, and maybe just general thoughts around that as well, how people are kind of portraying it and what was being said about it?
Yeah, I think the biggest example of why he probably got fired would be that the guy who he let walk went to the Super Bowl as QB1. I think that's probably ruling overall, and especially because they won, 14 games last year, and then they go down to 9, and realistically, J.J. McCarthy didn't play all that much this year anyway, and didn't really lead them to all those wins. So, yeah, I think that's just a minor tidbit probably as to why, they were probably fed up. But again, you got to take care of the kid. You got to take care of the kid. And if you're working from home, I don't really see a problem with it. Now, it is a little excessive if you got a wife, she has the baby, and she takes care of the baby, and you can still get up and go to work. I think that's my opinion on it, but we'll see when that happens for me. It hasn't happened yet, so.
Again, this is what I say.
What'd you do? Did you take off work?
Of course, yes, but it's afforded to me.
If they give you that option, you're going to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I took off work. Yeah, for sure. There's no question I'm gonna take off work. And I took the full time too, 100%. But again, it's the culture. It's the culture, and the culture environment I'm in is they encourage you to take all of your time. And when I talked to my colleagues, they said, take all your time. Got to take all your time. Of course you take all your time. When the culture of an NFL, again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the culture of the NFL, I'm telling you, that was one of the reasons, Chris, there was a time when, not that I wanted to be a coach, but I thought very, very briefly about getting into, when I say very brief, about getting into coaching football when I was done playing at Howard. And again, you realize very quickly, number one, it's a high pressure, high stress job. But number two, those guys, I mean, again, you've heard the story. They sleep in their offices sometimes.
My brother's in it, I know.
So they miss plenty of time. How many people forget paternity leave, Chris? How many stories you heard of the people miss the birth of their child because they had a game going on? Now you're starting to see it more. You're starting to see it a little less now, where people are missing the games and things of that nature. But before that, you definitely weren't doing that. But to take 2 weeks off, again, I'm not saying it's right, but the culture is what the culture is. And when your culture states that, I remember the story. They're talking about Nick Saban. And Nick Saban went to, I can't remember whatever year it was, but they went to they won a national championship that year. And so they win a national championship, whatever day it was. And, the coaches, the assistant coaches are like, all right, they're thinking it's time to get a little vacation or something because the year is over. And you know what Nick Saban told them?
Get back in the office.
It's we got to go recruit because we've been playing for the last month. Everybody else has been recruiting. So we've actually lost time for the next year because we were so good. So yeah, the fact that we were winning, we now no longer have vacation time because we won so much. And so that is the culture that NFL or high professional sports, high level professional sports takes on. And again, it's one of the things I'm not knocking him for it, but let me say this. When you do things like that, understanding that culture, you better win. And when you don't win or when you make mistakes, that's probably going to come out to bite you. And I think, again, I don't know if it contributed at all to it, but again, I'm sure it probably did raise some eyebrows around the office and in different NFL circles. Daryl Clayton, last super chat. Appreciate it, brother. He says, you're not telling the wife to do anything after giving birth. I think that's true too, though. You're not telling the wife anything. Yeah. Yeah, nah, you're relaxing.
Yeah, that's true. I just haven't dealt with it yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, you haven't done it. You haven't done it. But I always love those videos. The guys that are, don't. Whenever it happens, don't take your PlayStation into the hospital. Don't do it.
You can't be trying to find every way to get past time and stuff. Because they don't get that luxury.
Even though you're literally just sitting there. So I don't see why you can't. It is frowned upon. I didn't do it yet, but it is crazy because you're literally not doing nothing but sitting. And you got to go to sleep in them hard couches. JT know if he was on there, but anyway. All right, we said we wrap it up. I think we did a good job. I don't know how long we went, but I think we're at a good stopping point here. Again, guys, please, if you're in the chat, we appreciate it. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, rocking out after the Bucks lose about 30 points to the Boston Celtics. This is gonna be a big week. It's gonna be a big week at the Cream City crossover. We're gonna be all over it. Whatever happens. happens. I want Giannis to remain on this roster. Again, I'm not as called delusional. I'm not like again. That's why I like having Justin on the show. I'm not like Justin, where I just it's gonna get all it's gonna be all right. I understand that. I truly understand that. But again, there is a part of me that goes, we can still, you can still keep this thing going. But again, hurdle one is getting past Thursday. And again, I'm also again, I know some people are just giving up, trade them. My biggest thing is I hate rebuilds. I really do. And again, as a Panthers fan, I just went through. We ain't even out of it. We was happy about going 8-9. We hadn't been to the playoffs in 7 years. Hadn't hosted a home game in 10. That stuff is hard. It is not easy. Again, we had the number 1 pick, and up until last year, everybody was telling us it was a bust. So just because, again, you can have the best pick in the draft and mess it up. And again, I am a Bryce Young believer, but you can have it all flow your direction. You can make the trade to get the top pick, all of it. You can lose and get and had a number 2 pick and get Jabari Parker, and he busts both his knees. Like, it is none of this draft stuff. None of it is guaranteed. What is guaranteed is Giannis is a hell of a player, and at his worst, he's a top 3-4 player in the NBA. At his best, he's the best player in the entire world. And I'll say this: I just believe that it's going to be quicker. It is going to be quicker to get back to relevance with Giannis than without. And that's why I would rather keep Giannis. But again, there is something for, not throwing away more assets down the line to keep this thing rolling. But again, we'll see how it goes. Anything else, Chris, before we officially wrap and get up out of here?
No, I'm excited for this week. I think some big things could happen. Again, we never discount John Horst as a guy who can't make the big moves that are underrated, that aren't being talked about as much. So we'll kind of be able to see what kind of direction this team is headed in pretty quickly once we see the moves that are taking place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. James Moore says, great show tonight. We'll see you next time. Excited to see how bad the Bucks lose and to talk about it. We'll be here to talk about it. We'll be here again. Big week for the CCC. Big week to see what happens at the trade deadline for all teams, especially your Milwaukee Bucks. Tuesday, Wednesday for sure we'll be on. And then if anything happens Monday, if anything happens, we'll be here. We'll be talking about it. Again, we appreciate you guys joining us. Hit that like button on the way out. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, this has been a Cream City Media Group production.
Chris King.
Miami Enemy is only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels.